Amazon's 14 leadership principles have become legendary for building high-performing teams and businesses. But they are not just corporate buzzwords, they are guiding values that can transform how we work every day. In this video, I'll explain each of these principles and show why they matter by sharing real examples from my own experience as a supply chain manager. So, these stories will illustrate how following these principles help me overcome challenges and deliver results in a fast-paced supply chain environment. So, let's go to the first principle. The first principle is customer obsession. Customer obsession means putting the customer at the heart of every decision. It's about always asking, what does the customer need and how can we serve them better? In supply chain terms, this principle reminds us that our ultimate goal is to keep customers happy by ensuring they get what they want when they want it. For example, once I faced a sudden shortage of a key pizza ingredients right before a busy weekend. I needed to ensure no customers would try to order their favorite pizza and be told, sorry, we are out. So I quickly arranged an emergency delivery from a local supplier overnight. As a result, no customers went without their favorite pizza, and most never even knew there had been a supply issue. By obsessing over the customer experience, we maintained trust and kept our sales strong. So let's go to the next one. The second one is ownership. Ownership is about taking responsibility beyond your job description, acting like you own the business. Leaders who practice ownership think long-term and don't sacrifice long-term value for short-term results. They act on behalf of the entire company and never say, that's not my job. In my role, I noticed each franchisee store was ordering packaging on its own, leading to inconsistent quality and higher costs. This issue wasn't technically my problem, but it was hurting our business. So I took ownership of it. I led a project to consolidate all packaging purchases, working with suppliers to standardize boxes and other items and buy in bulk. As a result, we introduced 12 new unified SKUs and cut packaging costs by 15%, all while boosting our brand consistency. By thinking like an owner rather than just an employee, I helped the entire franchisee network operate more efficiently and consistently. So let's go to the third one. The third Amazon leadership principle is invent and simplify. Invent and simplify is all about innovation, finding creative solutions and making process easier. In fast-growing company, new problems constantly emerge, and the best leaders find ways to solve them in simpler, smarter ways. It's about not being afraid to try something new if it makes operations better. One of our proudest achievements was launching a local production center for our pizza dough and sauces. We had been producing dough in each store, which was costly and wasting too much time operationally, so we needed a better solution. We championed setting up a small local facility to produce our dough and sauces in-house. As a result, we dramatically reduced costs and supply became more reliable, and our stores could always get fresh dough at moment notice. This innovation not only saved money, but also made our operations much more nimble. So let's go to the fourth one. Fourth one, I write a lot. I write a lot means having good judgment and making smart decisions frequently. Great leaders aren't perfect, but they hone their instincts with data and experience so that their decisions are often correct. They seek diverse perspectives and question their own assumptions to improve their judgment. Early on, seeing that we had over 95 different ingredient SKUs from various vendors, I led a thorough review of all our suppliers. I suspected we could improve both cost and quality. Some colleagues felt out existing deals were fine, but I dug into data and purchase history for each item. I renegotiated contracts and switched suppliers where the numbers showed we had a better option. In the end, those decisions proved right. Our ingredients cost dropped and deliveries became more reliable. By trusting data and analysis and being willing to change course, I ensured we were right a lot, more often in how we manage our supply chain. So guys, let's go to the fifth one. Number 5, learn and be curious. Learn and be curious is about never settling and always seeking to improve your knowledge. In a leadership role, it's easy to stick with what you know, but this principle pushes us to constantly explore new ideas, learn new skills, and ask questions. Curiosity leads to growth. When I moved to Dubai, I stepped into a whole new market and culture. I was new to the Middle East food industry, and there was a lot to learn, from halal regulations to local supplier dynamics. I threw myself into learning. I visited local farms and vendors, networked with other supply chain professionals in the region, and even picked up some basic Arabic to build better relationships. That curiosity paid off. Within a few months, I discovered a UAE based dairy that could supply fresher cheese at a better price. And I implemented new inventory software features I learned about from our global team. By staying curious and eager to learn, I brought fresh ideas that improved our operations. Number 6, hire and develop the best. This principle is about building top talent. Leaders should raise the bar with every hire, then help those people grow. It's not just about hiring well, it's also about coaching and developing your team so that the whole organization gets better over time. Previously, our supply chain teams was small, so every person had to be high impact. We needed someone to manage our central warehouse and coordinate deliveries as we expanded. We set out to hire a top-notch logistic coordinator and then mentor them to grow further. We found a promising young manager and invested time to coach him, training him in our systems, sharing negotiation tactics, and giving him stretch projects like optimizing delivery routes. Within 6 months, he grew into one of our top performers. By hiring smart and then developing that talent, we built a stronger team that could handle more stores and higher demand. The seventh one insist on the highest standards. Insist on the highest standards means never setting for okay when excellence is possible. Leaders set ambitious standards for quality and performance, and they hold themselves and their teams accountable to meet those expectations. It can be challenging because it often means pushing beyond comfort zones, but it leads to superior results. One example was ensuring top-notch quality from our production. After we started making dough, early batches were slightly off compared to our global gold standard. We refused to accept good enough. We ran test after test, tweaking the recipe and process until every pizza crust coming out of our local facility was indistinguishable from the original. By holding that high bar, we delivered a product that our customers loved every time. In fact, we ended up with virtually zero complaints about dough quality. Our insistence on high standards paid off in happier customers and a stronger reputation. Number 8, think big. Think big urges leaders to have a bold vision instead of being constrained by current limitation. It's about imagining how much more could be done and inspiring others with that vision. Thinking small is a self-fulfilling prophecy, so Amazon leaders strive to think big, to drive innovation and achieve outstanding results. When we were preparing for rapid expansion in the UAE, I knew our supply chain needed to scale up dramatically. We only had a few stores at first, but dozens more were on the horizon. And doing things the old way wouldn't work for a much larger operation. I devised a supply chain strategy with the future in mind, not just the present. For example, I developed detailed supply forecast, tied to our expansion plans and even pitched investing in a larger central warehouse before it was immediately necessary. So, we'd be ahead of the curve. This forward planning paid off. As we grew from 1 to 15 pizzerias, we were able to supply all of them seamlessly with no major hiccups. By thinking big, we inspired confidence in our team and franchisees, who saw that our supply chain was ready to support ambitious growth. So let's go to the next one. The ninth one is bias for action. Having a bias for action means valuing speed and decisiveness. In businesses, especially in the supply chain, indecision or waiting too long can be costly. This principle says that many decisions and actions are reversible, so it's better to act quickly and course correct if needed rather than stall until you have every possible fact. I experienced the importance of this during a crisis when one of our main suppliers had a port delay. A shipment of toppings was stuck and wouldn't arrive in time for this weekend rush. Without quick action, our stores would run out, so I immediately called a backup local supplier we had used once before. By that evening, I negotiated a one-time deal and arranged an express truckload delivery from them. It wasn't our usual product, but it was close enough in quality to keep our kitchens running. The crisis was averted. We got it in time and customers never faced a stock out. Acting fast saved us from lost sales and showed management that our team could handle surprises with agility. Number 10 is frugality. Frugality is about doing more with less. It's not just cost cutting for its own sake. It's a mindset of efficiency, innovation, and careful use of resources. Constraints can spark creativity. Amazon leaders pride themselves on finding ways to accomplish goals without always needing bigger budgets or more staff. For example, when we opened new stores, we had tight budgets for kitchen equipment. Top quality ovens and refrigerators are expensive, so I was tasked with reducing this cost without sacrificing quality. I negotiated bulk purchases agreements with suppliers, for instance, working with our oven suppliers to get volume discounts and source some equipment from reliable local vendors to avoid pricey imports. In the end, we cut the capital expenditure per new pizzeria. That meant we could open more stores with the same budget. And importantly, we achieved these savings without lowering our standards or efficiency. Frugality, in our case, wasn't about cheap shortcuts. It was about smart planning and efficiency. Number 11, earn trust. Earning trust is fundamental for any leader. It means being honest, dependable, and respectful. Trust is earned through transparency and consistent integrity, doing what you say you will do, admitting mistakes, and always communicating openly. When people trust you, they will support you, even during challenges. In the supply chain world, I earn trust by being transparent and reliable with my team and our franchisee partners. Once a shipment of tomato sauce was delayed, which could have caused stores to run short over the weekend, I immediately informed the franchisee owners and store managers about the issue before it became a crisis. And I explained the backup plan I was already putting into action. I took responsibility for the inconvenience even so the shipping delay was outside my direct control, and kept everyone updated regularly. We got through the weekend without any store running out, and the franchisees appreciated the early warning and quick solution. Incidents like this built my reputation as a dependable candidate partner, and over time colleagues and franchisee owners knew they could count on me to handle problems honestly and effectively. Number 12, dive deep. Dive deep means leaders operate at all levels and pay attention to the details. No task is beneath them, and they don't accept glib explanation if something seems off. Instead, they investigate, audit data, and get to the root of issues. Being detail-oriented and hands-on when necessary helps uncover problems that others might miss. My detailed supplier audit is a good example of diving deep. We had a complex supply chain, and I sensed some cost and inventory numbers weren't lining up with expectation. To find out why, I rolled up my sleeves and examined every purchase order, contract, and delivery record over a few months. In doing so, I discovered that one distributor was overcharging us by subtly inflating that weight on the invoices. This was an unnoticed error that had been costing us money. I immediately renegotiated that contract, and I also identified a few internal ordering mistakes which we then corrected. This deep dive saved us money and improved our inventory accuracy. By not staying at the surface level and digging into the details, I solved problems that would have been missed otherwise, and I set an example for my team about the value of being thorough. Number 13, have backbone, disagree, and commit. This principle is about speaking up when you disagree, but then fully committing once a decision is made. Amazon encourages leaders to respectfully challenge decisions. If they believe there is a better way, you shouldn't just go along to preserve harmony. However, after debates are concluded and a direction is set, everyone must commit wholeheartedly, even if it wasn't their preferred ideas, and execute as one team. At one point, some executives suggested we continue using multiple small distributors for our ingredients, thinking it was safer to spread the risk. I strongly believe that using one reliable central distributor would be more efficient and actually more consistent. So I respectfully challenged that plan with data showing how centralized deliveries would cut costs and reduce errors. After some debate, leadership agreed to try the centralized model. Once the decision was made, we all committed fully to making it work. I helped onboard the new distribution partner and set clear performance targets. The result? Deliveries became more reliable and partner workload dropped significantly, validating the new approach. This experience taught me that having the backbone to speak up can lead to better outcomes, and that after a decision, unity and commitment in execution are just as critical. So the last one is deliver results. Deliver results is the capstone principle. At the end of the day, leaders have to execute and meet their goals. You can have great plans, ideas, or intentions, but you will be judged by what you actually deliver. Despite obstacles, a leader focuses on key outputs and doesn't settle until those objectives are achieved. Consistent results builds credibility and drives the businesses forward. All the planning, negotiating, and innovating I have described ultimately had to translate into tangible results. I kept a laser focus on our key targets for cost and growth, using all those initiatives to drive improvements. Our efforts had reduced food cost, and we also opened new franchisees on schedule with full supply chain support in place. In short, we hit our goals. Consistently delivering these kinds of results not only improved the company's bottom line, but also showed my team and my managers that they could count on me to get the job done. And that track record of performance is what true leadership is about. Amazon's 14 leadership principles aren't just ideal on a poster. They are actionable values that guided me in building a successful supply chain operation. Whether it's obsessing over customers, taking ownership, innovating, or holding ourselves to high standards, these principles drive real results. I hope my stories gave you insight into how each principle can play out in day-to-day leadership challenges. So, if you found this insight useful, please like, share, and follow for more supply chain leadership stories and lessons. Thank you for watching, and until next time, see you. Bye bye.